this meeting of the Lindsay City Council and direct the clerk to please take roll.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
Councilmember, Councilmember Flores.
Here.
Councilmember Watson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cortez.
Here.
Mayor Kimball.
Here. Thank you. Would everyone please stand and join us as Councilmember Sanchez leads us in a flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would invite Pastor Joe Laura, the First Baptist Church of Lindsay, to come forward and offer our invocation tonight.
Thank you. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we're so thankful that out of some of the worst moments come the best stories. And Father, we don't deny that we have gone through some storms. We have gone and weathered some choppy waters. But Father, we're also rejoicing that we are writing better stories because of that. We didn't wish that to happen, Father, but it did, and now we are writing. We're using all that as material, knowing that the good, the bad, and the ugly is going to create a beautiful mosaic of a community that is fruitful and productive, and we're headed in the right direction, Father. We're more guided by compass and truth and values than a time, than a watch. And so, Father, we're so grateful that all those things you're going to use to make us better people. You're going to use those things, Father, to shape us and design us and bring out the best of us. As this week, as we celebrate Orange Blossom, we have the honored couple here as well. Lord, we just thank you that out of these situations, Lord, that are challenging, they're just thread, they're just material that will make a beautiful mosaic of the community that we want to be. Again, Father, I thank you for each of the leaders here and the time, the talent, and the treasure that they give, they sacrifice. All, even though they may all have different ideas, Father, they have the same goal, is come to a solution that makes us all better, that calls out from us ideas and creativity that will just paint a beautiful narrative of the community called Lindsay. And so, Father, I thank you for each one of them. Watch over them. Watch over our officers, Father, that are on the streets, and the firemen. Lord, just protect them. Be with us all. Be with the Queen in her court. Be with the honored couple and the families that are here represented. In Christ's name, we thank you for the incredible future and the incredible story that we're writing now. And Father, I just pray that people that look on Lindsay, if they're impressed now, they need to see what we're like tomorrow and in the future. In Christ's name, we pray and we rejoice. Amen. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Pastor Laura.
Thank you, Joe.
So we have many very special guests with us tonight, and it's our pleasure to be doing some recognition and offering some proclamations. I think that first I will read proclamations, and then we would invite certain individuals here to come forward and introduce themselves if they wish, recognize family members who may be here with them if they wish, and tell us just a little bit about them. So with that, I first want to recognize our honored couple that is here tonight, Jan and Marianne Owens. I'm not going to read the full proclamation because there's so many things in there. But Jan and Marianne have been very active in school and church and community events. I know particularly with the Lindsay Community Theater and with the Orange Blossom Festival in the past as well. And we thank them for the great example of community service that they've been to us, and congratulate them and recognize their unique contributions to our community as the 2019 Orange Blossom Festival honored couple.
Do you want us to talk to you?
I think we'll wait. Okay. Whereas the Orange Blossom Festival celebration affords the citizens of Lindsay a special opportunity to pay tribute to the significant role of the citrus industry in our city and recognize the Queen and her court chosen to preside over this celebration of community. And whereas academic achievement, civic and community service, and individuals who work to achieve their highest potential are among the attributes considered in the selection of the royal party. Now, therefore, I, Pamela Kimball, Mayor of the City of Lindsay, on behalf of the City Council and all residents of Lindsay, extend warm greetings to visitors and guests and invite all to join us in honoring the 2019 Orange Blossom Festival Queen Megan Salinas and her court, Azucena Cisneros, Michele Cesar, Mariana Lopez, and Marina Ornelas. In witness whereof, I have hereby set my hand and caused the corporate seal of the City of Lindsay to be affixed this 9th day of April, 2019. So with that, we would invite each one of you to come forward. However, I don't know, Lisa, you have a set way you want to do this? Okay. We'll let the Queen begin.
All right. So, to everyone here, thank you all for being here tonight. Thanks for having us, for one. My name is Megan, like Pam said. I did just graduate from Long Beach State University with a kinesiology degree in exercise science. I am substituting for Lindsay Unified right now. Not this week. I've been born and raised in Lindsay and been to every single OBF that I could imagine and that I can remember, of course. I've been involved in OBF as well as other things around the community, and it's just been so much fun and an honor to grow up here. Thank you for having us. I'm going to go ahead. I want to have everybody up just because it's not just about me. It is about the 4 girls and the honor couple, and I'd like to have them all up here.
Okay.
And with that said, I'll bring up Michele Cesar.
Hi, my name's Michele Cesar. I'd just like to thank you guys for having us today. Just a little bit about myself. Throughout high school, I've been involved in many clubs and sports, but I've been mostly involved in the track program, which has led me to attend Cal State Fullerton and study linguistics to become a speech pathologist and hopefully come back here to help the kids. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mariana Lopez, and my future plans include attending Sacramento State University and majoring in child development. I hope to return to LUSD preferably, but somewhere in the Valley and become an elementary school teacher. I've been very involved in sports like volleyball, and I'm currently a track manager, several clubs as well. But aside from that, I spend most of my time working on the weekends at the swap meets with my family.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Azucena, and I'm very happy to be here with you all today. My future plans for college-wise would be to attend UC Berkeley in the fall and major in English in hopes of coming back and working with the Lindsay Unified School District. And then what I'm a part of in high school would be I spend most of my time with the Stars After School program at Washington Elementary, and that is run through the migrant program. So that's what I represent.
Good evening. My name is Marina Ornelas, and just a little bit about myself. I'm involved in sports as well as clubs. Some sports include volleyball and softball, and then clubs such as like Key Club, Not Ashamed, National Spanish Honor Society. With my spare time that I do have, I'm very involved in my church and do community outreaches. My future plans after high school is to go to Fresno Pacific University and go into the liberal studies, and through the TSL program, hopefully come back and become an elementary school teacher at our elementary schools. Thank you.
I'm Mary Ann Owens, and I'm retired. But I do go to Zumba Gold, and everyone's invited. They're trying to get another class, so that would be fabulous. And I go to the exercise class and water aerobics, because I feel kind of left out with all your activities, so I had to throw that in. Mayor Kimball, thank you for coming and attending the coronation. And it was a pleasure to see you there. And Miss Laura Cortez, after we went there, we saw you over at working hard at the Sister City thing. So thank you all for your participation too. We've been here. I can't introduce my husband because he tells me I do it every time. So I'll let him do that. But we've been in this community for a good number of years, and it's a blessing. They've taken us in, they've grown us, they've loved us. All of you have. And even Mario. And we've loved him too. I think the most amazing thing for me right now is to see our children having children and participating in our community. It's a growing and evolving thing. And yes, like Job said, there's birthing pains, but it continues to survive, and that's the glorious part of Lindsay, that we love each other and we are the friendly city. We take people in, and we continue to grow them. And I just say thank you to each one of you, and may God bless you, our city, our state, and our country, as we're going through birthing pains, all of us. So thank you for this honor and for the ability to be here. Thank you. I do want to say, not about him, we just went out and picked oranges, and it was fabulous. It's not something I would want to do as a job, and it gives you insight to seeing people with those big old hunkin' bags, and these girls clean up real good.
I'm Jan Owens. Thank you for that non-introduction. We are honored and pleased to have been selected as the honored couple. We have known many of the past honored couples as friends. We know many of them have been civic leaders, business owners, and real contributors to the community. We feel like we've contributed in other ways by supporting our children, supporting a number of activities, the Lindsay Theater, Lindsay Skimmers,
etc.
And in our bio, we said we were looking back in '78. We were looking for a home, and Jane Dutton invited us to come to an Orange Blossom Festival, and we did, and we found home. We found a bunch of caring people who have helped us through some hard times and have supported us, and we want to give back as much as we can and be ambassadors for the Lindsay Orange Blossom Festival and support the community. I want to thank you.
So before all of you got here, we went ahead and left you a little gift, and a pen. The gift, in case you don't know, is orange peeler, and then the little spout one, you can actually stab it into your lemon or orange and actually squeeze it out, and it acts as a spout. In case you didn't know, which a lot of us didn't. So just so you don't go home and you're like, why did they give me this? But it does relate to Orange Blossom. And then last one, on behalf of all of us, thank you all for having us tonight. It was a pleasure to be here, and we hope to see you at all the many events that we have left, and of course on Saturday. So thank you.
Okay, well, don't forget yet, because we all have gifts for you. So Megan, if you would come forward and receive the proclamation. Thank you. Flowers. And then girls, every council member has something for you. So find the council member for your gifts.
Congratulations.
Are we gonna see? Yes, absolutely. Stay up here. And then Jan and Marianne, we have flowers for you too. So this is a wrist, but someone's going to need to pin Jan also. Okay.
Here's my honey.
And a proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, yeah, so, should we come forward with them? What does it look like out there? Should
You
we?
should come around.
Okay, let's all come around. Yes. Short girl problem.
I would like to recognize Danny and Lisa Salinas. As they are guiding us around through this week, they have been wonderful helpers, and I really appreciate you guys.
For those who don't know, sorry, just another shout out.
Yeah.
Us five are at my house essentially, but we are at my house all day, every day. So another thank you to my mom for maybe putting up with us.
Step forward and we'll try to move in behind us. Okay.
I don't know about
I need a chair. I don't know, we couldn't, let's just put it.
Could sprinkle in.
That's organized us to take all the fun out of it.
All right, ready?
No.
Thank you.
Yay!
So we know there's many more events and we look forward to seeing all of you later on this week. We are recognizing an additional group here tonight. Let me go ahead and read this proclamation. Whereas the City of Lindsay is pleased to recognize John J. Cairns High School Freshman Leadership Learning Facilitator, Ms. Stevia Real, and her innovative and dedicated students for their Olive Bowl Rebirth Project. And whereas Ms. Villarreal students selected the Olive Bowl Rebirth as their youth-based learning project, which is a dynamic approach for students to actively explore and pursue solutions for real-world problems and challenges. And whereas Ms. Villarreal students devised a plan, which included inventorying the Olive Bowl, assessing its issues, and prioritizing repairs and improvements with very limited financial resources. The students were rich in initiative and powerful in their labor force, where for 2 days they pulled weeds, raked leaves, and removed extensive trash and debris. The students then reached out to Mesquite Nursery, whose owner generously donated an assortment of plants, shrubs, shade trees, and an olive tree for their project. Ms. Villarreal students next carefully installed the new plants and trees and now visit them weekly to provide water and care. And whereas John J. Cairns students Hector Lopez, Camilo Espinoza, oh man, I'm sorry if I mess it up, Mira Diaz, Isidro Garcia, Jose Cisneros, Serafine Valdez, Daisy Chavez, Brianna Chavez, Anaí Barajas, Alexis Martinez, Antonio Lemus, Dana C., and Leo Wimberly are to be specifically recognized for their superb initiative in this effort. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Lindsay City Council, I, Pamela Kimball, Mayor of the City of Lindsay, along with the residents of Lindsay, wish to extend our sincerest thanks and appreciation for your selflessness, dedication, and energy as you have transformed and beautified the Olive Bowl. In witness whereof, I hereby set my hand and cause the corporate seal of the City of Lindsay to be affixed this 9th day of April, 2019. I would invite Missy Villarreal and her students that are here tonight to come forward to the podium. That's yours.
Not everybody's here tonight, but the ones that are here. Sylvia?
Would you introduce them?
Oh,
to us,
sure,
please?
sure. So right here we have Isidro Garcia. Turn around, so oh, to you guys? Oh, sorry. This is Camilo Espinoza, Hector Lopez. This is Dana C., Daisy Chavez, Myra Diaz, Alexis Martinez, Serafin Valdez, and Jose Cisneros.
Woohoo.
So,
Thank you. So we have little keys to the city which say, thank you for your important contribution as a volunteer. A key to the city says Lindsay on it that we want to present to each one of your students. And if there's some that aren't here tonight, you could take them for them.
thank you.
Thank you.
So if they like to come forward. Come and shake your hand. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Here we go. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I'll this one for you. And who's missing?
Okay.
Do you have any more?
Maybe one more, I think.
Yeah.
I have a
Oh, and Misty, the proclamation.
Oh, thank you so
Yeah.
much. Can you say anything?
That's up to you. We would love to have you say something.
We chose the Alamo because we knew it needed some work, and then why not put our effort into our city and take some pride into it. So I implemented a project-based learning. It is what it is. It's a project-based. You take the learning outside of the classroom. You could do it inside, but it's so much better when you're taking the learning outside of the learning environment. And so these kids put countless hours in. I'm super proud of them. We still have work to do there. We're still going to do stuff there, but we're just waiting on donations. That was like the tough part. We would have finished a long time ago, but super proud of these guys right here.
Okay.
But thank you.
Would you like to have your picture taken? Misty, we would love to take a picture with your group.
Okay, come on, guys. Show your cheesy smiles. Sorry.
Okay, so,
Oh, come on, get up here. Oh, you're tying your shoe? Can you see everybody?
so,
3, 2, 1.
Thank you, folks.
thank you again. So to all of our honored guests, you are welcome to stay, or we invite you to go ahead and, go on to your next thing if you so wish.
Bye, nice meeting you.
Okay. We will now move on to our public comment period. The public is invited to comment on any subject under the jurisdiction of the Lindsay City Council, including agenda items other than notice public hearings. Speakers shall be limited to 3 minutes. Unless otherwise indicated by the mayor, public comment period will end after 30 minutes. Blank speaker cards are on the back table. Give the completed speaker card to the clerk before standing at the podium. Speakers should clearly state their name before they begin. Does anyone wish to address the council tonight under public comment?
Yes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eric Sinclair. I was born and raised here in Lindsay, California, and some of the things I'm going to be addressing along the way to the next election is jobs and employment connections throughout the city. And what I want to be doing is pulling in as many jobs, as many business owners. I want as many business owners as I can pull in. And if I can pull in hundreds, I will do that. And I'm good at business. I'm very good at business. I'm very business oriented. One of the things that I've learned that in doing business, you don't bring your heart into it. Chances are you might get burned. But what you do is you're squared away the whole time. You square yourself away like a soldier and you do business. You do not put your heart into it. You show the people around you what you can do, and they see that. And whether they want to hop on the same train you are is up to them. The fact that they see what you do, and they see the structure that you're capable of handling and showing them they'll do whatever they can to help you. That's how it works. People see me work and they want to work along the side with me. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hi.
Here you go. My name is Ramona Cadillo. I am owner to Velasquez Customs Auto Body and Paint here in town. I've been here a year. I am currently in the process of a upcoming, hopefully, car show, rental of the theater. We will be doing a production of Boulevard Nights, the movie. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's our 40th anniversary. I have many businesses. One of them, my business partners, is in Boulevard Nights. I will be bringing those actors to Lindsay. They will be doing autographs and stuff, and we'll have merchandise, vendors, and I'm hoping that we can build up the city by me bringing in a lot of these people from the LA and Orange County areas. I've put in my permit, and I've gone today and I've walked the city and gotten signatures, and Bill was one. So I'm hoping that you guys are all for this. This is a positive thing, and if you have never seen Boulevard Nights, feel free to look it up. But it is history for us. Thank you, that's all I have to say.
Mona, may I give you a card?
Sure.
Would you mind emailing me some of your information?
I can do that.
Awesome, thank you.
Hello, my name is Cirilo Gil, And I am here today because it's my civic duty and responsibility to speak up of this mess our city is in due to the past and continuing lack of leadership, and this includes city administrators who are part of decision-making and signing off on failed projects that have put our city in a bind and possibly bankrupt if it ain't already. The city's leadership has been plagued by inefficiencies, lack of accountability, lack of transparency, and lack of quality of leadership. It has been incredibly frustrating and costly for our Lindsay citizens as we seek to get transparency that you all promise us under oath and are duty bound to provide to us. What I am worried about are the citizens of Lindsay who don't have a voice, who are taken advantage of by the raising of the utility rates for the funds you poorly mismanage. Lack of leadership, failed wrong decisions, failed projects. One example is building Disneyland on Sweetwater Avenue with no rides or parking. This decision was a total failure, and we all know that we are now still paying for it, while other individuals are profiting off of it. It is your duty, Mayor Kimball, current council members, and city staff administrators to look out for the best interests of the city and its citizens as public servants. Former council members and administrators, if they're still here, have failed, and is why our city is failing too. Currently, you have shown no accountability in your disastrous decisions, holding no one accountable or reprimands. All you do is deflect your wrongs and blame others, trying to justify your actions in which are unacceptable. Kicking the can down the road ain't helping. You've been doing that before 2011, and look where it has got us now. We wouldn't be in this dilemma if we had good leaders that are strong and are doing the right thing and setting the right examples. Everything would be running smoothly. Do the right thing. Setting the right example, doing the right thing and setting the right examples, everything will be running smoothly, but unfortunately we don't, so it's why we the citizens of Lindsay are asking you, Mayor Kimball, to step down and resign, so we can vote in a mayor that meets our qualifications for successful and positive functioning city government. Thank you.
What is your name again?
My name is Cirillo Gil.
Gil?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't raise my water rates because I said that.
Anyone else?
That's why I would, but I'm sitting on right now.
I guess I'm the last one. Oh my gosh. I hope if I go beyond the 3 minutes, maybe you'll accommodate a little bit. But as I think everybody knows me, my name is Star Warson. I think the last time that I was here was last year, standing up here with a group of people too. It's a great community. It should be all of our interest, and I believe that it is, to benefit our city, the citizens, the businesses, those people that have the commitment to be in this city doing business. And that's what brings me here. And it just came up in the last day or two, and I've talked to Brett and I've talked to some others about this. My wife and I own several buildings downtown, and we rent to different entities. One we just rented to, the old building which has got the Borax mural on it. It's right next to Brian's office, right there on Lulu Street. Yes, thank you. Anyway, this is about the Friday night market. I know it's been given to another person to manage, and I've talked to them, and I understood that Lindsay businesses got some preferences. Lindsay businesses, my understanding was, and I think it was done for a time, was if the Lindsay business wanted to participate and have a space in front of their business, that they would be given preference and said, all right, you want to pay for it? Yeah, right in front of your business because you're a mortar and store building. You pay sales tax, you do a permit, you do all of this. I find out that's not the case. We rented the little business and the gal is brand new. She just is going to be opening here this week and she's going to be selling party supplies and candies and things like that. Okay. Nice little store, good business. She's going to pay sales tax, do all of that. But I've been told that she cannot have that space in front of her business because somebody else already has it. Now, I talked to Susanna Mora, who is your new manager of all of this, and she says, oh yes, she can have some space someplace else. By the way, there's a pony ride going to be in front of there. The pony ride is, I don't know, anyway. And so the answer that I got was that no, she can be somewhere else, and that's fine, but she can't be in front of her store. I won't bump that out-of-town vendor for some local business that has a storefront. Sorry. Well, could you do that? Well, that's not the question. Yes, it is the question. I don't think I want to. Okay. And then I was finally told the conversation is over. And we hung up the phone. 15, 20 minutes later, she called me back. It was a little more conciliatory, but still, I gave her the example. Let's say, oh boy, all right. Let's say I have a business, and in June, I decide I didn't want to before, but I want to have a space in front of my business. Would you bump that business that's in there now because I give me preference? No. She has oral contract. She has nothing written. Anyway, I thought it was Lindsay first, Lindsay businesses first. It is not. Okay, second point, and I'll be as quick as I can here. She said that she gave notices to all the interested people, and they had a meeting, and I understand that they did. And the explanation she gave me was that when she was awarded the contract, she gave an announcement, we're going to have a meeting so that you can come forward and you can tell me what you want. Okay. My tenant never got that. My other 3 tenants never got that information. I have the old Tinkin drugstore, if you know where that is, where it has the travel agency, El Quinto, and then 99 Pipeline. Anyway, she says that she gave notice and everybody came, and I said, well, how did you give the notice? Oh, well, I announced it right there. So anybody who was standing around, they got notice. And they came. And the vendors that she knows from her Selma business and from her Cutler Rossi business, they came too. Well, they're the same people that are on Sunday out on Highway 198. They're the same people that are on Tulare Road on Saturday doing swap meets. Okay, that's fine. But I really believe that it ought to be looked at that this contractor is not doing Lindsay first. How much effort, I asked her, would it be? We've got like two or three blocks by 2 or 3 blocks. How much effort would it really take to walk around and put a little note on every window? That wasn't done. No, but she gave complete notice. She was very adamant about it. And I said, I don't think that you did. We disagree. Okay. But again, it's always bothered me. I had one business in that store years ago that went out of business because he said he couldn't compete with swap meat vendors. Okay, now I've got another one that is coming to town, and she's got instant competition.
Okay, I think you've made your point.
That's the point. Thank you. And thank you for the accommodation.
Anyone else wish to address the council under public comment?
I have one more thing that I needed to bring up. This has nothing to do with what I said or not, but
over the weekend I thought I had a sewer back up. I had put new lines in my house, so I kind of figured it wasn't mine. I don't throw trash down my toilet or anything. So I called right before 4 o'clock to City Services, and I was told that if I needed to have somebody, what I wanted somebody, a worker, to come out to my alley and check my sewer line, because in the past it was backed up or it came into my yard and made a mess, but that's beside it. And so I called this time to have somebody come out there, and they said, well, It's 4 o'clock right now, they leave at 2:30, and if you want somebody to come out there, they're gonna charge you $50, and you don't have to pay right away, but it'll go on your water bill. So, there's like, I figured everybody goes to work from 8 to 5 or 7 to 4. Who knows that, like, how many people know after 2:30 that if we need city services, we're gonna have to pay a $50 fee? I mean, I know you guys are trying to make money any way you can, but, you know, I don't understand that one. In the past, it was your guys' fault, where the sewer did back up, where I had someone come out there and do the work, where you guys reimbursed me back. All I was asking for is a city worker to come out there, pop the lid, look and see if and tell me, no, it's not, it must be you, so that I can call somebody out there. I don't want to call nobody out there and it be your fault that I get charged. So those are the things you need to change right there. That has to be changed. Over after 2:30, they're gone? Really? I see them down my street every 30 minutes.
Anyone else wish to address the council under public comment? Seeing no one, we will close public comment period and move on to our council reports. Councilwoman Flores, anything to report tonight?
Yeah. You know, I'm really trying to be positive, but when I hear that the people that are running the market are not providing our citizens, our Lindsay businesses priority, that's a problem for me. It's a huge problem, and we need to address that today. Also, Mr. Gill stating that our public services end at 2:30, that is also unacceptable. It's not an acceptable practice, and we need to look into that as well. That being said, I had told you that we had gone to a conference. It's called the WELL Conference. It was out of Long Beach. It was sponsored by the WELL Foundation, and we learned a lot about the water resources and how to help the cities. It seems that most of the cities throughout California have the same problem, and that's a decaying infrastructure. It's something that I knew that we had old pipes and everything, but I remember them replacing my pipes, and they were corroding, like falling apart. So it finally made sense to me of how important this is, and it's something that we have to look for and try to find grants for. And I believe it won't be completed in my lifetime, but for my children's lifetime, maybe my grandchildren, they'll have finally some clean water to drink. That's it for me.
Thank you. Councilman Watson?
Yes, just a couple of items. I have the opportunity to be on the East Cahuilla GSA, which is a newer organization, state mandated to come up with a water drought plan with certain mandated timetables. And so I just wanted to report that as far as the East Cahuilla GSA is concerned, that we are on time. There's been a lot of professional engineers, hydrologists, geologists, technical people like our own Mike Camarina, who have been working very, very hard on that GSA to help fulfill the mandate from the state. I think our GSA, and there are, how many in the state? 100 maybe or more. I think we've spent close to $1 million in the last 24 months. It's kind of outrageous. Stakeholders landowners in 27,000 acres within our GSA are the people primarily paying for that. We do have a small portion that we pay based on the 2,000 acres that comprises the city of Lindsay. So just wanted to give a report on that we are on time, and we're a lot of people working very hard to get that done. In addition, I had the opportunity to attend the vendors meeting for the Friday Night Market, and it was a 2-hour meeting on Monday, and I just like to report it went very, very well. Everyone was very polite, very interested in the new systems. And the new organizers seem to be extremely organized, maybe a little strict, but from a business standpoint, that's not a bad place to be, especially when we're starting out. So it was reported to me that they have close to 200 vendors already signed up, and unfortunately, I have, in prior administration, experienced something as Starr is concerned about as well. So I understand where he's coming from. It's just kind of one of those things when there's a commitment made for someone who's paid money to be in front of your store. Sometimes you just have to work around it. And so I understand his frustration, though. And that's my report.
Thank you, Brian. Sarah? Thank you all for being here today, and I do have a few things, but before I say these few things, regarding Mr. Gill, issue regarding the 2:30 time, I don't know, frame, I guess, I don't know what to say. If that is true, when did that start? And if it's not, can you get back to me and just give me an update regarding that? Was it a phone call or did you go into the office? Just regarding the phone call?
to the main lady there.
Okay, thank you. And then also regarding the farmers market, I did look at the contract regarding what the gentleman was saying regarding the businesses. I didn't see that in there, but I don't want to discuss that right now. If we can get after it, then we'll talk about that. So, I went with Towanda to Long Beach, and it was regarding, as she mentioned, regarding the infrastructure. But I also wanted to add that they also stressed regarding the quality of water as well. So they did talk a lot about the infrastructure and the quality of water. And I also brought back just a few, I brought 2 back just to give you a little bit of information of, what we got while we were there. We also met a lot of great people, a lot of mayors. We met a senator. We met a lot of good people that actually extended their hand to us, and we had this one person that wrote grants and just gave us a little bit of insight of how that works. So I just wanted to give you that, a little bit of extra info. And then I also went to the health advisory, the Lindsay Health Advisory. Their silver sneakers is up to 53 members. She said it stayed around that number. It's not really going up or not really going down. It's kind of stayed at 53. They also talked about last Friday, they had an exercise called Pound and Taste. 9 people attended to that. It was from 5:30 to 7. It's $10 if you're a member of the Wellness Center and $15 if you're not. And they will do that the last Friday of every month. They'll be doing that. And then I asked about the Omni on how it was doing. They were saying there were some days where they were really busy, other days that they weren't. So I think they're just still trying out hours and days. Also, they talked about bringing a cafe to the Wellness Center. They brought up Orangeworks, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I'm excited if they come. Also, they talked about the private swim lessons, and I think I saw it up there, right, for registration, so I'm going to talk about that. And then regarding the martial arts for kids with autism and special needs, that will start on April 17th, and it's $45 per month, and it's every Wednesday from 6 to 7. And I have, you can contact Lisa from the Wellness Center. And then we also talked about the health fair on October 19th. There will be a health walk, a 3K and a 5K. The car seat check will, police officers will also be out there. I think the highway patrolman as well might be out there. And then the bike rodeo as well. And I think that's it. That's all I have. I'll be updating you.
Thank you. Laura? I just want to say thank you to city staff and all the volunteers that were part of the Ono City delegation activities. You know, we had a welcoming reception as well as other activities throughout town, and I just want to say thank you for that. When they left, they were in tears because they didn't want to leave Lindsay. They felt very comfortable here, so that was a good thing. Last Wednesday, I attended the DACA presentation hosted by the Lindsay Cultural Arts Committee, and it was very informative. We had two persons from the Education and Leadership Foundation out of Fresno State, and what I took away from it was that any current DACA recipients or past DACA recipients may still renew. However, DACA is not taking any new applications. So that was the biggest takeaway. And, you know, for the last couple of weeks, city staff and other stakeholders have been, we've been having meetings regarding Earth Day that's coming up. So I have a couple of activities. I know some of them were already on the screen, but just really quick to finalize all of this. Later this week, the Orange Blossom Queen and Court will be installing plants at the Lindsay City sign. And is open to, you know, it's part of the Earth Day event. Our big day, April 22nd, it's that Monday after Easter. We have some alleys and areas that have been targeted for cleanup. We have some schools that have confirmed their participation, such as LHS, Roosevelt, Lincoln, and Kennedy. What will happen is we will meet that morning. The leads of each group will meet at the Wellness Center, get the needed supplies, t-shirts, what else, and like maps of the area that corresponds to their cleaning responsibility. So that will be really cool. And also, you should have a little packet like this. Last time I talked about the City Council recycling competition. So that will start this week, or has started if it hasn't already. And so this is just information. Every time I I learned something new. So make sure you review your handouts thoroughly, and may the best recycler win. So thank you guys for participating in these. What else? You guys have the flyers. Another activity related to Earth Day is the city was donated 16 repurposed trash cans or containers that have been turned into trash cans or will be turned into trash cans. And each school will get 2 of those containers. So we will have a competition where each site will design a logo for each of the trash cans they receive, and they'll bring the results to us so that we can judge their artwork or their logo that they put on their trash can. May 1st will be the deadline to submit the artwork. May 6th, it'll come to council for us to review, and then on May 14th at that meeting, we will make our final selection and announce it. So these trash cans will be used at the sports complex, which, you know, I think that'll be a really good thing for the kids to go out there and really take pride in that and say, oh, you know, I drew that, or I was part of that project, or whatever. We are also looking into a senior veteran disabled property cleanup assistance committee, program, or event. We have contacted the Lindsay Strathmore Memorial District and CSET, the senior program for assistance in identifying property owners that may benefit from a mass cleanup.
of their property, the program foundation can be started but may not be included in this. Okay, sorry.
So that's it.
So lots of things related to Earth Day. If you guys have time, make sure to come out there and at least come and get a free hot dog lunch at noon at the Wellness Center. So thank you guys. That's all I have right now.
Thank you. Okay, I attended the public workshop held last week to help design improvements to the Olive Bowl and Kaku Park in preparation for our grant application. It was well attended, and the general consensus was reached as to priorities for prioritizing the amenities that'll be submitted. The consensus was they want baseball fields, and I think the ask was right now for 2 large and 2 small bleachers, stadium lighting for 1 field, regular lighting for the others, and a new bathroom / concession stand. The final workshops will be on where to place the desired amenities and drawing up the site plan, a basic site plan to submit. The coronation was beautifully conducted. I read a proclamation proclaiming this week as Orange Blossom Festival Week. And my husband and I enjoyed our teriyaki dinners. With that, Ireland's not here tonight, so we will move on to Bill for staff reports.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I first off want to thank Council for giving up a Friday to meet in a retreat and to hammer out a working agreement. I believe that the working agreement will serve us well. We may need occasional reminders about that working agreement because not all of it is our native self that we want to be, but I think it will help us be cohesive and do the best things for our community. In the spirit of brevity, I'm not going to go through. I have a very lengthy staff report. I will email that to you. Many of these items were up on the screen that was displayed today. This was our first effort at that. Your council pictures were up, and we would encourage you to have some statement, some creed. You guys looked awesome. Some creed that is important to you or something that you want our residents to think about when they see you, about maybe who you are, what you're about. I would ask you to think about that. And as we move this forward, we're going to do our best to have it in English and a Spanish translation. I did it today. My Spanish isn't so good, but that's a goal that we have to try to inform the public and make things move a little bit more quickly. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Bill. Are there any questions for Bill in this report? Seeing none, we will go on to item 4, which is consent calendar, and we only have one item on that tonight. It's minutes from our March 26th meeting. What action would the council like to take?
Move for approval.
Moved by Watson.
Second.
Second by Sanchez. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item is an information item. A proclamation declaring April Child Abuse Awareness Month. And I see Dolores, but I see Linda.
Yes.
So.
I'm covering for tonight. Good evening, everyone. My name is Linda Ledesma. I'm the director of Lindsay Halsey Stark Family Resource Center with Lindsay Unified. And most of you may be aware that April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. But for those of you that don't know, I'll give you a little bit of history about why we celebrate Child Abuse Prevention Month. So, unfortunately, our country had the SPCA before they had child abuse protection laws. They took better care of their cattle and their horses than they did children because women and children were kind of seen as property. But for some reason, your cattle was a little more valuable than your family, which was interesting at the time. And the co-founder of the SPCA, his attorney helped petition to remove an 8-year-old little girl who was suffering from severe abuse from an adoptive family that she was placed with. And her name was Mary Ellen Wilson. After her removal, it created the Society for the Prevention and Cruelty that was held at the SPCA office. So go SPCA. And that was the beginning that brought on the change for how we looked at children in this country. And it started the process of building protections in place to protect children. But we didn't really see much momentum because we still saw children working 10-hour days, in factories, and it wasn't until like after 1960 that we actually started to see law and legislation passed to protect children. This year actually marks the 29th anniversary of the launch of the Blue Ribbon Society. And it pretty much began when a grandmother lost her grandchild in 1989 at the hands of his mother and her abusive boyfriend. And it was a very ugly story of how they found this child, and multiple abuses and reports to child welfare that had gone unheeded. And it ended up with him dying. And so she was very angry about it and decided to make it a personal mission to wear a blue ribbon. And the blue signified the color of the bruises they found on his body when they found him. So that's why we wear a blue ribbon. So her campaign really took off, and here we are 29 years later still promoting this, because this still happens. It happens here in Lindsay, it happens in Tulare County, happens nationwide. And we want to make sure that everyone around us understands that we can stop it, that we can put protections into place for children, we can help families overcome some of the stresses that may lead to child abuse, and that we can teach people how to report it and which signs to look for. So I wanted to share some stats. And so on the national level, just to put it into perspective, because we can talk about how many kids get abused, but sometimes people need to see a dollar amount that goes with that. So I want to tell you how much it costs the U.S. economy annually for child abuse. $2 trillion. And this is a new study that just came out that was pulled together for a conference that I attended on child abuse protection, which I'm very active with here in Tulare County because of the work here at Lindsay Unified. Each case of non-fatal child maltreatment had an estimated cost to the economy of $830,928 a year. It's a lot of money. Substantiated cases of child maltreatment cost $428 billion. So that means when we talk about substantiated, those allegations of child abuse were found to be true. So in 2015, we had 1,670 children who died nationwide from child abuse and neglect. So here in Tulare County, just to bring it down to the county level, pretty much 1 out of 11 children is a reported victim of child abuse. 68% of our children in foster care do not have a father involved in their lives. I just found this out yesterday at another child abuse meeting, and that kind of blew my mind. 68% of kids in foster care do not have a father involved in their lives. 38.2% of children in our county live in poverty. 26.7 face food insecurity. And just so you guys know, during the shutdown, I actually asked the county, because they were letting us know that there could be a potential that SNAP benefits would be delayed. So I asked the county, well, how many families does that affect here in Lindsay? That was 50% of our families. So it really paints a picture for some of the adversity that our own community is facing, and how food security is very real here in Lindsay, and it's a *1 thing our learners that are homeless say they don't have enough of. So that's unfortunately that's our reality. In January in Lindsay, we had 41 child abuse calls that were made, and 18 of those resulted in referrals to Healthy Start, so we could provide some intervention and direct services for those families. We've had over 500 referrals for children to Healthy Start that need linkages, mental health, and support with basic needs. And we have approximately 334 learners that we have classified as homeless under Ed Code. So we're working very hard to get the word out, to teach parents different tips and techniques that they can use in terms of disciplining. I look back to my upbringing, a lot of it's cultural. I'm a victim of spanking, of the chancla. That was just what they knew, and my dad did overdo it. We would have totally been detained by child welfare if it was today, but that's all they knew. So it's just a matter of changing how we discipline our kids and teaching them some things that can change the behavior and redirecting children in a way that's more positive. So we're going to continue to promote child abuse awareness all month, because that's what we do. But for the month of April, we're going to be celebrating it and promoting it. So our campaigns this year is our annual Wear Blue Friday. So we're asking everyone in the community to wear blue. Send us a picture. We'll put it on our Facebook. We're putting it on the Child Abuse Prevention Council's website as well. We're sending them pictures just to help spread awareness. We're going to be participating in the Orange Blossom Parade this year again, and having a float. with our theme centered around Fiesta, but child abuse at the same time. And we'll be handing out prevention pinwheels at the Orange Blossom Parade. And we have materials that we're handing out to the school sites. You've seen the blue ribbons throughout the community, and you'll probably see them throughout the county. So we're just going to try to keep getting the word out there. So I brought you all gifts, so you can wear this all month and all year if you'd like. So take one and pass it down. And is there any questions?
Thank you, Linda, for the work you're doing. Are there any questions for Linda at this time?
Okay. Well, I brought the proclamation. I wasn't sure if you had it or not, but Dolores told me to bring it.
Oh, okay.
So
I don't have it. So, I need to sign it and put a seal on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and I also brought a couple of stats. About 10 must-know facts about poverty in Tulare County, because unfortunately, poverty ties hand in hand with child abuse. I mean, it is an equal opportunity thing. I have seen wealthy people abuse their children in my former work working with foster youth, but it seems more prevalent in our families that are really stressed. So this might be kind of give you a snapshot of what's going on in our county.
Okay, I would be happy to read the proclamation if you like, or, okay. Whereas child abuse and neglect is a complex and ongoing problem in our society, affecting many children throughout our nation and in Lindsay, and whereas every child is entitled to be loved, cared for, nurtured, feel secure, and be free from verbal, sexual, emotional, and physical abuse and neglect, and whereas it is the responsibility of every adult who comes in contact with the child to protect that child's inalienable right to a safe and nurturing childhood. And whereas Lindsay has dedicated individuals and organizations who work daily to counter the problem of child maltreatment and to help parents obtain the assistance they need. And whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships among families, social service agencies, schools, religious and civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. Now, therefore, I, Pamela Kimball, Mayor of the City of Lindsay, do proclaim April 2019 Child Abuse Prevention Month in the City of Lindsay. And on behalf of the City Council and all of our citizens, urge all our citizens, community agencies, faith organizations, and businesses to work together to increase awareness. In witness whereof I have right now set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Lindsay to be affixed this 9th day of April 2019.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for all you do, Linda.
Thank you.
Our next item is consideration of Resolution 1914, approval of ATM kiosk for Bank of America at Hollywood Plaza Shopping Center, located off of Highway 65, presented by our QK Contract Planning Services.
Good evening. So we are currently reviewing a site plan for an ATM kiosk for two ATMs at the Olivewood Plaza Shopping Center. If you go to the next slide, you can see where the Olivewood Plaza Shopping Center is, and with the red circle, you can see where the kiosk will be. Now, I will say this particular site plan has been approved before by the City of Lindsay back in 2015, but it has since expired. So we are here doing the process again. If you go to the next slide, you can see the site plan of what the kiosk is going to look like. It's going to be in front of the Starbucks Little Caesars. And then here we see a detail of the site plan. In total, we're going to get rid of 3 parking stalls and convert 1 parking stall to a handicap stall in order to make sure that everything is ADA compliant and accessible. So the staff has reviewed everything with the zoning ordinance, and with that, we can go to the next slide. Staff recommends that City Council adopt Resolution 1914. And I can take any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, this is an unmanned thing, right, with a couple of ATM machines.
Pardon?
It's just a little unmanned thing with a couple ATM machines.
Yep, 2 ATMs. We're going to get rid of 3 parking stalls, but that's not going to affect parking in the overall shopping center.
But you're adding So are you getting rid of 3?
Getting rid of 3, converting 1
And
to...
converting 1, okay. Okay.
So yeah.
So, okay, I guess this is, I know it's been requested by someone, but was it like an individual's idea or somebody saw the need?
It's a request through Bank of America.
Oh.
So it's done.
Okay. Okay.
Based on the lines that they're single ATM.
Yeah, they
I
probably saw the
see where
need.
it's desperately needed if you're a B of A customer.
Or anybody.
Oh, yeah, I guess, if you want to pay the fee, I guess.
Okay. Well, for this one, you would need to get out of your car and walk up to it, correct?
Mm-hmm. It's a walk-up
It's
ATM.
not like some of them you can drive through, but this
Right,
one.
right.
Okay.
It's conveniently placed in a parking lot, so you could park right there, but yes, you have to
Next
walk.
to it, but, okay. If there's no further questions, what action would the council like to take?
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved by Cortez, seconded by Watson. Would the clerk please take roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Cortez,
Aye.
Councilmember Watson,
Aye.
Councilmember Flores,
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Aye.
Mayor Kimball.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. And we won't let you sit down because you have the next item. This is consideration of resolution 1915, possible approval of daycare located at 964 Maple Valley Way.
So before we get started, I remember having a conversation with somebody, I might have to recuse myself from this. Do I need to
How
at this?
close are you, Laura?
On the other side. I'm on Maple Avenue.
But which,
I don't know.
like how many houses away?
Maybe like 3, maybe? She's, I believe they're on a cul-de-sac, and then I'm on the street.
He's measuring just a second.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I need your address.
845.
She's very close. Oh, 160 feet.
Yeah, you need to.
Okay. Don't fly away.
Wow, it's mushroom.
Those are birds getting sick.
And Jessica, you and I are going to talk about these buffer maps that we need to do for council members.
Sounds good. So this is a site plan review, a request by Lorena Garcia in order to convert a garage into a daycare and to replace the required parking. If you go to the next slide, you can see where 964 Maple Valley Way is. That is where Lorena Garcia would like to make her daycare. And the next slide, this is the site plan for the daycare and for the parking. So I must say that the applicant has already converted the garage into a daycare center without the permitting, so we are now going through the appropriate process in order for it to be in compliance with the code. The only concern really was that there would be adequate parking, because converting your garage into something else means you can't park in there, obviously, and we needed 1 covered parking space. So if you see in the site plan in blue, that is going to be a carport where there will be adequate parking. And it has been reviewed for everything else, and with that being said, you can go to the next slide. Staff recommends that City Council adopt Resolution 1915, and I will take any questions that you might have.
Traffic?
Questions?
Traffic issues, dropping off, picking up?
No, it's part of a home occupation permit that allows home occupations, daycares to occur within residential areas. The only snag that we had here was the conversion of the garage, because our parking standard requires a covered parking space in residential areas. And they were, once they figured it out, the applicant was very willing to agree to create that, a concrete driveway, and we wanted the architectural features to be substantially similar to what was with the house. It's a nice neighborhood. We did not want to degrade the neighborhood, and they were very cooperative with that.
Can you go back the slide?
Right here.
So the purple is the concrete driveway?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And there's already concrete there.
For the existing driveway, there is, that goes, and they've done a nice job with the conversion that they've done. I think they've got French doors, am I thinking right there, Jessica? And a couple of windows. They've done a nice job, it's just it was done without permits and after the fact. But again, they've been very, very cooperative with getting this up to speed.
We're just making it formal now.
Yeah, okay.
Do we have any limitations on the number of children?
We do.
Okay, and this falls, I guess, under.
It does.
So this is an existing childcare?
They had a child care service there that was done within the home. They'd gotten their permit, and they had elected, they wanted to move it into the garage. And there are always concerns about that. First off, you typically have a hot water heater in the garage, and it's not built to be a living space. There are certain things you've got to do, think about like radon gas and so forth that can come up through the ground that you have to do when you want to make something a living space. So after the fact, they wanted to do this. A couple of conversations took place. They converted it. They did remove the hot water heater, but the last issue was how are you going to manage parking? And this is what they came up with, which satisfies all of our standards.
So did she start that before the permit or after?
But yeah.
She started without you guys, the city, knowing?
I don't know about knowing. I know that Councilmember Flores brought someone in, but they were given information they didn't complete it. Now, the he said, she said conversation, I don't know. But Jessica has had to pursue the applicant to get it straightened out.
It was a matter of having formalities of the planning application and then the building permit. So now we are part of the site plan review of the planning application. The next step will be the building permit.
Okay, because if that family did it before the permit, is there any penalties that come with that? Or, and the reason I'm asking is because if we get other, any resident doing any type of work, whether it's a garage, a fence, whatever it may be, shouldn't they be getting a permit before? Because we've already had a few people come up and build things without a permit. So I just want to know how long are we going to be doing that? Or
Forever.
okay,
It's, you know, people don't always know what city rules are, or and they say that's a stupid rule. And we could enforce compliant inspection fees on them. We're just trying to get stuff done and keep our community happy, and this would satisfy the city's legal and building requirements, and they're able to do what they want to do, and they were cooperative. But had they not been cooperative, we could make them abate it. We could make them remove all of that, but they're willing to do it.
If there's no further questions, how would the council like to proceed?
Yeah, I'll move for approval.
Second.
Been moved by Watson, seconded by Flores. Would the clerk please take roll?
All right, Councilmember Watson.
Aye.
Councilmember Flores.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Cortez is recused, and Mayor Kimball.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. I'm assuming on this next item,
Oh, do I have to leave?
Councilmember Watson may have to leave. And to be clear, whether I can stay or have to leave?
Madam Mayor, we would ask, you're within about 370 feet of the project site. We would ask that you consider recusing yourself.
Correct. Laura, it's all yours. What do I do now? Okay. All right. Oh, sorry.
If you guys want to step in next door, you can. I should have offered Mayor Pro Tem the key. Hopefully it wasn't too cold out there.
So this is item number 8, resolution 1916, Watson tentative parcel map located at 1030 Parkside Avenue, presented by QK Contract Planning Services.
Yes, so this is my last presentation for you tonight. This is a request of a tentative parcel map by Brian Watson. If we go to the next slide, you can see it's at 1030 Parkside Avenue. So Mr. Watson would like to take one lot and turn it into 2 lots. If you go to the next slide, we can see the site plan of what he would like to do. He would like to have a line going north-south to divide the parcel 1 from parcel 2. Now, the only thing really pertaining to the zoning code that we had to consider is that it says to avoid lots that are twice as long as they are wide. But if you look at the next slide, taking into consideration the other parts of the neighborhood that also have lots that are twice as long as they are wide, we're not exactly setting a precedent or anything allowing for this lot. This is just an overall goal that the city has that they eventually want to achieve. So all of the applicable departments have reviewed the tentative parcel map, and on the next slide you can see that staff recommends that the City Council adopt resolution number 1916. And I will take any questions you might have.
Question?
Hasn't this lot been divided before?
It has.
Yes, that doesn't necessarily...
It has nothing to do with this project. She doesn't need to know that.
So what I do when I see that one lot has to turn into 2 lots, I look at the requirements of the zoning code. And per the zoning code, everything is up to snuff.
Okay. Because I remember that lot was divided into 4 lots.
It was a full city block once upon a time.
Yeah. So it was divided to 3.
Oftentimes in lots in cities that have been more rural, you have huge lots for farms or something like that, and in due time they get cut smaller and smaller until we get to more dense urban areas.
So
as long as you meet your minimum lot standards and they follow the right process, if you'll indulge me, that was a full city block, and it had 4 underlying lots of record. And we can see that on the maps that we get from the county. So when it was subdivided into 4 lots, they were able to do a lot line adjustment process. And you can do that so long as you don't create more than 4 lots, if I'm remembering correctly, and you don't create any new lots of record. So they used that process to create those 3 houses that are along the street to the north, and then the main property. When Mr. Watson wanted to subdivide it again, he could no longer use the lot line adjustment process. He had to use the parcel map process. That cost more money, a little bit more rigorous review, and that's what he's done. But it satisfies every legal and statutory requirement that we have. And he could continue subdividing it so long as the lots are big enough, they have access to a street, and that they're not smaller than approximately 7,000 square feet. It satisfies all of that.
And you can see in your staff reports there are conditions of approval, things that have to be done in order to move forward with it.
Right.
But it's in engineer speak.
Okay. That was my only concern, because I knew it was chopped up a long time ago.
What action would council like to take?
The other, if it's cut in half or the portion that was showed, that
Go back
zoning
to the
is,
slide, please.
that zoning would still be residential?
Of course, yes.
It would still be?
Has no effect on the zoning.
No effect on the zoning, okay.
Nope.
So then somebody would, well, I guess, I don't know if I read this, but he could sell those lots if he wanted to.
Well, you can see the house, the item in question are those 2 southern lots that you see, the southern area. You can see his house in gray on it, his circle driveway and an outbuilding there. The area to the far east is what he's proposing to subdivide, to carve that off, and someone would like to buy it and put a house on it. It's a very reasonable thing to have happen. The area to the north is already developed. It's not part of the project.
Any other questions? If not, then what action would you guys propose?
I would move for approval if everything's in place. I mean,
So, motion by Sanchez,
Second.
second by Flores. Is this an action item or?
You take roll.
All right, Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
Councilmember Flores.
Aye.
And Mayor Pro Tem Cortez.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Jessica.
Well, what happened on that?
You're approved.
Was it? Oh, I'd like to invite you all to dinner tomorrow night.
I'm busy.
Okay. Next item is a study session on our housing element presented by our city manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I have provided this document to you to review, and I will go through it as briefly as I can. I know that is a goal of councils to move things along. But this is an important discussion. Our housing element is a part of our general plan. Our general plan provides the long-range vision for the community that council sets. State law changes rather frequently, and so, especially with the housing element, we spend a fair amount of time trying to keep up with that. They identify new areas, oftentimes driven by coastal communities or affluent communities, and we wind up being the ones that really do the heavy lifting with that. Next slide, please. So we're going to start off about existing housing element findings. As a result of community input between 2015 and 2017, 4 major community-wide housing priorities were affirmed. Community image. Lindsay residents love their city, and forgive me, I'm going to read some of this but it is brief. They love their city and want to see a better future for their community. Community image concerns. Next slide. Okay, back up then. I'll talk through it. I'm sorry. Concern poverty. There's a strong community concern about continuing trends and perceptions of poverty resulting from significant recent construction of lower income housing, such as recent tax credit finance department projects. This is an issue of resource allocation and market perception. Residents are particularly concerned that this trend may be self-reinforcing. We've experienced that. And the city participation in such development should be carefully limited, perhaps when coupled with redevelopment critical infill housing development projects. Housing rehabilitation. Renewed emphasis is needed to rehabilitate and improve existing substandard housing. We've driven down streets and we've seen some places that need help. Code enforcement. Residents need to take greater responsibility to care for their property. When they don't, the city needs to take aggressive code enforcement action. And council has directed that we have a full-time code enforcement person to do these very things. Development standards, something that you were addressing, Councilmember Sanchez. The quality and appearance of non-residential development affects the living environment. This includes roads, public facilities, commercial and industrial development, but also the residential development. If they were to do that and we didn't address it, they wouldn't have covered parking, and then pretty soon it really does wear down on a neighborhood. I see a lot of that in Exeter, actually. Next slide, please. Special needs housing. Housing for traditional special needs group, the elderly, disabled, farm workers, and large families, is needed. Unique special needs group in Lindsay have unmet housing needs as well. These include the housed homeless, second and third family overcrowding of single family residences. We see that a lot in our farm worker community where people are kind of stacking in there. Veterans, public employees seeking to live in town, and professionals seeking quality rental units. We've experienced that. Kids returning from college that say they want to work in Lindsay, they want to live in Lindsay, and can't find the housing stock necessary. Next slides, please. Housing market issues. Current market problems, property devaluation, credit availability, income limitations have constrained housing development at all income levels. Market inexperience with above moderate income housing in the city limits hampers the ability of appraisers to make fair market comparisons. And so you're doing all this affordable stuff. You have somebody with a nice house that they want to sell. There's not a comp out there for them. This in turn discourages development of this much-needed housing segment. Additionally, the ready availability of nearby rural estate housing and upper-income housing in other communities serves to dilute market demand for in-town upper-income housing. Next slide, please. Above moderate income housing, we've been talking about this for a while. Expanded housing choice is needed to improve economic balance and housing opportunity. Lindsay needs greater housing choices for professionals, business owners, and affluent retirees who seek to live in town. These efforts must address community image and market issues as discussed above. Next slide, please. Suggested policy directions. These citizen-driven priorities suggest certain policy directions for the housing element in the city housing effort. Minimize city participation in development of new lower-income housing. Council has provided that direction to staff already. The private and nonprofit sectors are able to provide for this market need. A prime example of that is the self-help housing. They built this on their own dime. We didn't provide any incentive for this, and there will be a phase 2 to that will happen just to the south of that site. It's happening. We're providing an abundance of affordable housing here. City participation in lower housing development should only be considered if it furthers other important community goals such as revitalization, redevelopment, and infill development, especially in and around the downtown core. Next slide, please. Focus city first-time homebuyer efforts on existing housing and limited infill redevelopment projects to strengthen housing demand and preclude overconcentration of lower-income housing and new developments. That was something that we realized as we were providing all the gap financing for those housing developments on the perimeter of the community. Next slide, please. Aggressively pursue housing rehabilitation programs targeting the worst of the worst, those properties with obvious visible blight and construction maintenance deficiencies resulting in life and safety hazards. Limited public funds should go where they will do the most good. Next slide. Target code enforcement efforts toward housing maintenance and overcrowding. Limited enforcement resources should be allocated where they will do the most good. Next slide. City assistance for new housing development efforts should focus on special needs group and above moderate income households. Those market segments not being addressed by private sector are not being addressed by private sector housing developments, and we are trying to encourage that. Next slide. City public improvement efforts should be targeted on those community facilities most negatively affecting community image, such as our streets. I know that's a passion for all of council. Our schools, they're doing well, and gateway commercial areas. Next slide, please. But there is a positive light to this, and we have some housing opportunities. Next slide. So we have the Mission Estates subdivision. Those lots range in size between 7,800 feet to 19,000 feet, with an average lot size of 9,900 square feet. This subdivision will go up for tax sale in June. We've had several developers reaching out asking for information about this, where the infrastructure is, what are the conditions of approval, so that there's interest in this is very very positive. And as you're aware, you have the county building to the southwest corner of this, the city park to the south, Roosevelt School to the north. So it's a prime location to do this sort of housing. Next slide. We also have the Lindsay Oaks subdivision that's in its final map stage. You should see that very soon. Lots there range in size between 8,200 feet and 18,700, with an average lot size of 9,900 square feet. This is one that came through in about 2005. It's on Oak Avenue. You can see the configuration of it. And when it was proposed and approved, next slide, they were proposing houses that ranged in size between 2,200 and 2,500 square feet, which is bigger on whole than anything that has been built here recently. So I think some of the steps that council has taken to promote these sorts of things are taking root. The market is coming around. I think we will be able to develop comps as these things move forward to further more of this sort of development, so that our professionals, rather than commuting from Visalia to Larry Porterville, would want to live in town here because we have award-winning schools, award-winning recreation facilities, that sort of thing. So that concludes my presentation. And so we're moving forward with this housing element. As we talked through that, are you okay with the direction that we're going? Do you have some input of something that you'd like to see us do differently, as was discussed this evening?
Council, can we get started?
Yeah, I mean, clearly this is a step in the right direction. I mean, Autumn Oaks, was it?
Lindsay Oaks?
No, I mean the
Mission
Autumn
Estates, Autumn Hills?
Autumn Hills.
Yeah, that's a nicer subdivision.
Yeah, very,
We're stepping
good-
in the right direction.
Exactly. Yeah, and so if we can get the tax sale property sold to a developer to put housing in there, that would be a real plus. real plus.
And we've been doing community outreach meetings. Isabel Arroyo Toland has been great. She's talked to the PACE parents, and she's agreed to meet with our citizenship parents. And Chris and Rachel Smith of the Nazarene Church did one with their congregation for us to help gather input that we've been feeding to the person that's putting all this together for us.
Is this a daily development? This daily?
I think it was, yeah. Actually.
Yeah, they usually do a good job.
What are the price points on these?
I don't know yet. I haven't met with them since the thing originally came through in 2005. We were surprised to see the final map request come through and excited about that.
Yeah, because usually the houses that are over 2,000 square feet are over 300,000.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
Be nice.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
I agree with everything on the housing element that you presented. It looks like.
So do we have any incentives?
We actually don't have incentives to give. All we could do is we can expedite the building permit process. We don't impose additional rules beyond what the building code states. So that's good. Some communities have very difficult things that you have to go through. We don't do that. And if something were pitched to us, I would bring it to council to see what you want to do. But certainly financially, there's nothing that we have to offer.
Except for some land.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, council.
Thank you, Bill. That's all you needed was our nods or whatever that we're in the right direction. Okay.
In the right direction.
Okay. Item 10 is a resolution to consider, Resolution 1913, transit agreement with County of Tulare. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Logan. 32. So this is pretty much exactly the same process. I want to say it's the last 10 years where the county provides transit service to Lindsay residents in the form of what they call demand services, and also known as dial-a-ride. So the county's provided all of the documents to support their request for $41,340 as the City of Lindsay cost for providing the dial-a-ride service. That there's SB1 State of Good Repair funds that are dedicated strictly to transit maintenance, rehab, and capital projects. Since we don't officially operate a transit system, the county provides that for us. We make our SG1 funds available to the county. It reduces the cost of this service for us, but for those funds going to the county, they withhold 10% for their administration. So the City of Lindsay has $17,246 available in SG1, State of Good Repair, SB1 money. That's reduced down to a total of $15,622 for a projected cost for our transit program of $25,719. Those funds come directly out of, if approved tonight, they would come directly out of our state transit assistance program money. We currently have $91,475 available to pay for the transit services to the county. The balance of that STA money could be rolled into our street program, provided there are no unmet needs that are collected throughout the transit system that target Lindsay specific. And I brought, actually it was last week that the...
Mike, do you have some slides?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
Actually, everything's in the agenda, so we can go to those pages. It should be the last two pages of the agenda that show the area, the affected area of the dial-a-ride service the county provides. Yeah, that was the agreement. There are exhibits within the agreement themselves.
Okay.
So that's the affected area. So we have, keep going down, that whole highlighted area is dial-a-ride service the county provides. Lindsay only pays for our share within the city limits. The county does calculations based on ridership and miles of trip to come up with the amount of money we split between the county areas and the city areas. The last slide is just an overall service flyer that the county provides for their systems and then that affect us. So the unmet needs solicitations were done. The window closed a couple of weeks ago, actually a few weeks ago. The amount of unmet needs that were submitted was surprising. I think to date there were 24 submitted, none from the Lindsay area. And so there are a few more left to collect. There was a program through the CHP that was collecting some, and those are the last ones to be put in the unmet needs review. But the county had a few. Porterville, Visalia, Dinuba, and Tulare were the only transit systems. And again, 24 throughout the entire county. That's a shocking number, saying that the transit systems in the entire county are doing okay. They're doing an okay job. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mike? I just felt a little bit confused. We're only talking about dial-a-ride with this and not the fixed route?
Correct. So we're only responsible for direct impacts inside the city limits, not necessarily a fixed route that comes through. Fixed route, obviously, and you pay a set fee for that. So the dial-a-ride, and I believe the requirement is a 24-hour advance notice. Then you schedule your pickup and whatever your destination is. And that's how the county determines what percentage of city versus county dial-a-ride services based on mileage.
All right. Well, clearly some people are using it.
Yes, they are.
I wonder how many for $41,000, how many people are using it?
Right, unfortunately, and they typically provide the actual ridership numbers. They didn't provide those this year. They just provide the calculation based on trip miles. So I can't give you the exact numbers. I'm sure I can get it and provide that in an update to the city
Do you
manager.
have just an idea in your head whether this is more or less from last year or years past?
Based on the amount we're paying this year, I think last year we were near 60,000. So the assumption is the ridership's gone down.
Ridership's gone down.
So it's within the city of Lindsay?
Yes.
Only?
Only. Our share is only, but it's part of the highlighted area. That's part of the county dial-a-ride service within this area. So they provide service within that highlighted area, and that's how they calculate. They provide dial-a-ride services in other areas, but that doesn't affect us. There's other vehicles that take care of that. It's not like one vehicle is doing our area and 2 or 3 other areas in other cities.
So I read the thing, your write-up on it, and it was something about we pay for gas and oil and lodging. Do we actually?
Yeah, they call that dial-a-ride fuel costs. There's professional services, which is actually the drivers and the vehicles, and then fuel costs, which are volatile. We've seen it down to $2.25, nearly $2, and now it's $3.40. And so there's an unpredictability in what their hard fuel costs are, so they have to track that pretty close.
And this goes, so the dating on this, like it goes back to the 1st of July, 2018, but they have to wait till now to figure out what our share of the costs are. Kind of.
Yeah, and Dan Fox, who was the county transit administrator for probably 30 years, retired about 3 years ago. They barely replaced him, I think, last year. And so they've had staff struggling to pick up those pieces along with doing their other responsibilities. This is way behind schedule. We normally have this in front of council towards the end of the year for that particular year.
So do you think we'll be looking at it again?
Pretty soon? I would hope that we're going to see this again within 6 months. So typically August, September, October for the current year, instead of we're closing this year out and we're just bringing it to council.
Yeah.
So the good news is, though, we have the STA money to pay for this, but we've got to know how much we have to pay the county, and if there's no one that needs, we can take advantage of those monies in a
Okay. It's okay. So if there's no further questions, what action would the council like to take? Moved by Cortez. Is there a second?
Second.
And seconded by Flores that we accept Resolution 1913. Would the clerk please take roll?
All right, Mayor Pro Tem Cortez.
Aye.
Councilmember Flores.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
Councilmember Watson.
Aye.
And Mayor Kimball.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Item 11, request for future agenda items. Do we have any requests tonight?
Yes, I do. On the soccer field, remember how we had discussed that, and maybe we could discuss it later, I don't know. But they still need bathrooms for these little kids.
There's porta potties out there now.
Yeah, but they're not scattered. They're all the way over here. And the other little kids over here have to walk all the way over here.
Okay. So you want it as an agenda item, or do you want to come by and see me?
Okay.
What I'm going to need council to quantify how many you have, because we've directed that they put them out there, and they have, and I haven't said I want 6 or 8, and I think I'd like that to come from council. If you want a certain number of them.
I just think that so many kids are out there.
So I am actually interested in that too, so could we have like a little item?
Yeah, if you
Do
can.
you want to talk about it at council, or do you want to ad hoc on it? I'm good with it either way. I just don't want it to be a staff decision, because they already think I'm picking on them. So I'd like to have council's buy-in on whatever it is you want.
Why don't you just put it on an agenda and then talk about it?
Yeah, we might as well put it on the agenda.
Okay, so please vote on that.
Okay, how many think it should be an agenda item? 1, 2, 3.
I would just, if I may, I would just say that when we put it on the agenda and all the discussion happens here, that's what stretches out the meeting. That was one of the goals that you wanted. You wanted to shorten these things. You might consider, if there are a couple of you that are passionate about it, to meet with me and give me direction so that you can limit the conversation that you have. And I'm just suggesting it. You do what you want. But
Well, we could put it as an agenda item. That way they'll know that it's something that we want to discuss.
Okay.
And then,
I do think it's good to have like a number brought in, do some thinking about it first, so that we're not just kind of blind throwing out numbers.
yeah,
What we
I was thinking maybe 4 on each, 1 in each corner. Because I know right now they have 2.
If I would, accessibility is the issue.
Yeah.
In order to get those in corners, you've got to drive on the turf area.
and you got to service them too.
Right, and you have to
You got to service them. So you're out there with a heavy truck, a very heavy truck.
So how many are out there right now?
There's 2, but there's only 2 on one location by the Memorial Building. And there's like 4 games going on at the same time, but they're on that side.
So what are they asking, to move it closer to the game, or, I mean?
Well, closer to the kids. The kids are 3 or 4 years old. They can't hold it.
Well, I'm thinking about other soccer fields. They don't have a porta potty right there at every.
Well, not right next to it either. I mean, how close?
we're not looking right there.
How close do you want it?
So I'll be happy to do it as an agenda item if that's your desire. Absolutely.
Well, there seems to be a majority. I think it would be better to, personally, that we have maybe an ad hoc committee look at it, but.
I'm okay either way, whatever you guys wanted, because you guys.
Well, the thing is, one of his concerns is that he thinks that they're picking on him, or that he's
No, that
picking
I'm
on
picking on
them.
them.
Yeah, so why not put it as an agenda item?
Although, in addition to the porta potty issue, I mean, that parking lot is so full. You have cars parking along the fence. You have cars parking along the curb. There is barely enough room to get one car through. So, I mean, I'm just wondering if maybe an ad hoc committee could address a number of these things. I mean, it's just growing pains.
Who would belong to the ad hoc committee? Would we invite people involved in like the soccer league or anything to be part of it as well?
I would
Or
encourage you to
not?
have two council members, you two meet, and then you make that determination.
Yeah,
Do you
I
want to
think
bring in the
that
leaders
would
of
be
that
depend. We have
organization?
two
I would
council
like
members
that.
deciding who they want to meet with.
I would like that a lot.
So maybe we can do that and then bring it back to reports that we met, these are the concerns and, or this is how we're gonna.
So if I may, who would be on the ad hoc committee?
Okay.
I'm interested.
We have volunteers for the ad hoc. We have 3
Laura.
volunteers.
We get two.
Okay.
Cool.
Laura and Yolanda.
Thank you. So we will do that, and when you're ready, ad hoc committee will bring back your findings, your recommendations to the full council so that you can provide direction to me. Thank you.
Okay.
Wait, I wanted to, are we moving forward, moving on, or can I still add something to you? You can bring up another.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up regarding the farmer's contract, to discuss it.
You can discuss it, but you're not going to change it.
Well, I don't want to change it, but I would like to discuss it, because there was a few things said today that if it's not on there and it was discussed before, wouldn't it have been smart to bring it to us first before it was signed? Because
I would
that's why I
encourage-
asked for it, because I didn't even,
I would encourage council, rather than having these open dialogues here,
Mhm.
that you should be meeting with me and having these talks. I would strongly encourage that.
Okay.
We would get, otherwise, we're going to get stuck and never get.
and I agree with that, I agree with that. However, the contract, I barely saw the contract today when you sent it, or yesterday, I don't even remember what day. Was it yesterday or today that was sent?
I sent it when you asked for it.
Right, so was I the only one that received it?
Yes.
Or was I, okay, so
It's
that's.
not routine. Council typically.
And I understand that, but you're saying you don't want it to be discussed or every single thing to come to you, and I understand that. But there were some things that came up today that were talked about prior to the contract, and it seems to be not in there. So, that's just what I'm saying.
May I just add a personal experience? The situation that Mr. Warson talked about is nothing new. I have made periodic requests to have a booth out in front of my office. I've been there for 15 years and have been denied. So,
Well, wouldn't that be an issue, since we talked about it before, that Lindsay would, that the Lindsay residents would have precedence over, that was talked about.
I'm
and
sorry,
there was-
Councilmember, you don't know that they don't have precedence. You just heard one story tonight.
Okay, you're right. You're absolutely right. So can we put it on there, and then I can go out Friday night, this Friday and the following Friday, to see if that's true.
I just would encourage you to gather information. This is brand new. It's going to have rough edges on it. And you can't just, you can do what you want to do, but you're not going to get any council work done if you keep revisiting this stuff. I would encourage you to come and talk to me individually and then come in with an informed position for the things that you actually want to talk about at the council meeting.
I think Bill's right on that. I think this is an item for us to discuss with him. I don't want to see it on the next council agenda. I don't think we have sufficient information to do that.
I actually agree. I think that we're gonna hear and see a lot of things, and I think that at some point we do need to visit it and discuss it as a team. But I think we need to see what else is gonna come up. So you actually have a good point of, go out, let's, whoever can.
Well, yeah, that's 2 weeks before the next council meeting, that's 2 weeks, so why not put it on the agenda? But that's okay, if we don't have the vote, that's okay, then I'll go ahead and I'll talk to Bill about it, and then I will go out Friday night and see if that is true.
I would say one final thing. This market thing has gone on months, and it has kept us from getting work done. And that's my concern about bringing it back yet again, when you can't really change the contract unless they're in breach of the contract. This contract that you have now is much more detailed and much more thorough than the previous contract that you had. And we've had one complaint right now. And I'm going to shut up.
And I get that, but the main thing, when people came, the people that already had a booth out there were worried about losing it. So if those are the same people or the one person that's losing it, I mean, that's only one person, you're right, that's one
And the
person
one
right
person is a
now.
brand new business owner. I saw their business license today.
Okay.
Okay, well, the motion.
I will go out and I'll.
The motion
I'll vote
didn't
and I'll
carry,
myself.
so we'll bring it up at a future.
Okay, that's fine.
We will now go into closed executive session. So, thank those for being here tonight. We will need to move into closed